2, 1. Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar, Balancing Beauty and Budgets, Aligning Your Medspa's Marketing with Your Financial Strategy. My name is Rachel Lemieux and I manage the corporate marketing here at MyAdvice. Our presenters today are Robbie Antosy, Senior Practice Growth Consultant at MyAdvice, and Nick Liguori, owner of Liguori Accounting. Robbie has 15 years of experience helping practices like yours grow, saving them time, earning more profit, and helping them make them more competitive in their markets. He's been a faculty for many aesthetic conferences, such as the Aesthetic Show, American Brazilian Aesthetic Meeting, Aesthetic Multi-Specialty Society, and many others. So many letters there.
Sorry.
So too many talking engagements there, Rob. Nick Liguori is passionate about helping small business owners implement automated processes and procedures to help them simplify their bookkeeping and accounting. This helps his clients be able to make meaningful and timely financial decisions for their business. Some housekeeping tips before we jump in. We'll save all questions to the end. Please submit them in the chat or the Q&A section and I'll monitor those so we make sure to get to all of them. And I'll also be sending a copy of the recording later today just in case you miss anything or if you want to forward it on to anybody else that you wish could have been attending. So now I'll turn it over to Robbie to start our presentation.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much as always for the warm and kind introduction. I want to make sure before we get started here, can everyone see my screen here? Okay, yes, getting some thumbs up. Wonderful. All right, so yeah, great to have everyone here this afternoon. I'm on the East Coast, so we're just going to call it this afternoon. As Rachel said, my name is Robbie Antosy, Senior Practice Growth Consultant with MyAdvice. The reason why we are really here today, and I appreciate Nick Liguori also, sharing his time with us, is really understanding the connection between, balanced marketing and really what to do once you actually accrue growth within your practice. So for the first part of this presentation, just to kind of set the table here, I'm going to be going through some different digital growth strategies that we've personally seen very successful here with the practices that we work with at MyAdvice, kind of giving you a playbook to really understand what you really need to be focusing on to grow your medical spa, to grow your business. You hear a lot of phraseology out there. Do I need to be investing into SEO? Do I need to be investing into paid ads? How important is a website? How often do I need to be posting on social? We're going to be giving you a really easy to digest roadmap of really understanding what you need to be investing your time and money and energy into to really be effective and grow your business. And then the second part of this presentation is really going to be Nick covering a little bit more about what he does. So the idea here is, due to the growth that you would really accrue from proper digital marketing efforts, Nick and his company really does a good job of managing that growth, managing the finances, understanding the importance of bookkeeping and all of that type of stuff. So again, a lot of information to cover today. Let's hop right into it. Before I go into the playbook that we have here that really helps aesthetic practices understand the proper sequence that goes into marketing your business, we first need to take a couple of steps back and really understand this concept that I preach all the time in conversations that I have with Medspa owners is really this concept of lifetime value. Really understanding that that person who is coming into you today for Botox, for fillers, is not a one-time type of transaction. If you take good care of that person, if they have a good experience with you, if you give them the results that you promised them, that person is going to continue to come back to you year after year after year. And what do they do when they come back to you? They end up spending more money. They trust you. They recommend your services to friends and family members. But the key is that you have to attract that one person at a time into your practice. And we need to always keep in mind that when it comes down to your marketing, we want to look at patients as really the entire lifetime of the transaction, and the average lifetime value for even just one medical spa patient is around $57,000 if you're taking good care of that person. So again, getting out of this mindset that that person coming to you today for Botox, for fillers is a single transaction, because if you take care of that one person, they're going to continue to come back to you. So now that we really understand this concept in terms of lifetime value and really what is at stake here for just attracting one person into your practice at a time, we really want to go through the proper sequence in terms of digital marketing, in terms of things that you really need to be focusing on if you're trying to actively grow your business. So I want to make this brief introduction into what we call our pyramid of success here. I want everyone on this on this webinar today to think about this almost like a playbook, almost like a recipe, a sequence, if you will, to really follow in terms of understanding what are the proper steps that go into building an online presence. So whether your practice is just getting started, whether you're 2 years into this and you're really just starting to feel some growth, or whether you've been established for 5 years, 10 years, however long, and you're really looking to maybe press on the gas pedal a little bit further, this is the sequence. These are the steps that you need to follow in terms of understanding what needs to be attacked first. So in other words, not jumping all the way up to paid ads right away. You need to have a good website before you do paid ads. So we're going to be going through steps 1 through 6 here, piece by piece, just so you kind of understand what we focus on and how we can potentially help your practice as well. So stage number 1 here is really your website. Your website is the foundation. It is the nucleus to your online presence. In other words, even if someone is getting referred over to you from a friend or from a family member, they're still going to log onto your website. They're still going to want to look at before and after photos. They still really want to feel as if they're, connecting with you on an emotional level. So if you have an older website, if the website doesn't have a good before and after gallery, if it's not ADA compliant, these are all things that really don't position you well. And a website is really, it's a piece of technology. Here with our programs at MyAdvice, we actually provide our clients a brand new website once every 2 years. The reason why we do that is because a website is a piece of technology. It's really no different than a cell phone. There's a reason why you get a new cell phone once every 2 years. It's because technology changes really rapidly. So that is why, especially in aesthetics, you need to have a killer dynamic website that really evokes emotion, that feels good, that has great before and afters, that has great content on it as well, because great content is also going to help out with your search engine optimization. So I'm going to be doing a test here just to, kind of talk about first impressions, what people see when they land on websites. I'm going to be doing a test that I call the 3-second test here, where I'm going to show you a panel of 6 different websites. And, the idea here is that we make first impressions really, really quickly. I think everyone knows that. And the idea here is that with showing these websites, you're going to develop a perception. You're going to develop a perception in terms of like what you like and what you don't like, even within 3 seconds. So on my next slide here, I'm going to show you these 6 websites, and then I'm going to pop back over here to this page. And if you could, I want you to chat into the Zoom chat here, which numbers, again, they're numbered 1 through 6, which ones really resonated with you the most, just from a visual standpoint. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to show these websites. Which ones did you guys like the most? Again, I might have showed that for a little bit longer than 3 seconds, but nonetheless, I'm interested in knowing which ones you guys, really resonated with you the most. So I'm seeing some answers come in here. Okay, 2, 6, 6. Yes. So everyone tends to agree here that as we go through these numbers, which one's really emotionally connected with you the best? It's numbers 2 and it's number 6. Why is this? Well, let's go through these one by one really quickly. Number 1, there's a picture of the person getting injected with a needle. Sometimes people don't like needles, and you don't really want to show the process of someone getting injected. You want to show the end result. Number 2 here, really nice, big, dynamic presentation, full screen approach. This website here, at least like the first impression, looks really strong. Number 3, really similar to number 1, kind of has like a pamphlet style approach. I think the colors are really not great here as well. It doesn't really connect well. Number 4, this website probably has one of those website ticker counters on them. Do you remember those from back in the 90s where you would land on a website and it would say, hey, you're the 200th visitor to this website. Congratulations. So it just kind of looks old. Same thing with number 5, and number 6, really similar to number 2 in terms of that first impression, in terms of the feeling, the fullness of that. So again, first impressions really matter. That is really the point that I'm trying to convey here and really drive home, and that you need to have a website that is modernized, that really connects emotionally with someone. Again, it's always numbers 6 and 2 here. So now that we've really mastered stage number 1, which is, again, understanding that you need a really great website. Websites are a part of what we do, by the way. We build awesome looking websites with great conversion tools. You really want to make sure that that website is very visible within localized Google search. So, this concept that I'm about to go through might be a little bit foreign to most of the people here on this webinar. And that's why I want to spend a little bit of time on this and kind of have you digest exactly what this means. And again, for anyone who is watching or attending this webinar, I would be happy to run this type of report for you as well, because this is something that is really critical in understanding how you really optimize your website, specifically for near me related searches. So how we search, like the behaviors of how we search within Google when we're needing something, we typically go to Google and we're typing in something near me, dry cleaners near me, best Italian restaurant near me, medical spa near me, Botox injector near me. So understanding that more than 50% of searches are being done with the phraseology of near me, people are trying to find local options. So this is really your opportunity to be positioned really well within Google, but you need to understand what Google's looking for first. So moving on to this next screen here, this next page, let me just kind of walk everyone through this. Let's play pretend that everyone's business name here is 3 Points Wellness, Weight Loss, and Laser Sculpting. And you're located right there on Northeast Douglas Street in Lee Summit, Missouri. And then your phone number, the main phone number where someone would be able to reach you, is ending in 9393. So when you have a business, you have all of these different directory listings here that you can see all across the internet. You have a Yahoo listing, you have a Bing listing, a Facebook listing, Yelp, MapQuest, City Search, so on and so forth. There's actually around 65 of these different listing websites which exist across the internet. And your goal as a business is that you need to establish a listing on every single one of them. And the reason why that's really critical is because when you're establishing a listing on every single one of them, you are localizing trust signals within Google. So in other words, it's really, again, optimizing your website better, specifically for those near me related searches that are being done on Google. The problem that this particular practice is running into is that they have conflicting information across the internet. So do you see how like the Bing listing here says 3 Points Wellness and Weight Loss? You compare that to the Yelp listing right underneath it where it says KC Laser Lipo Clinic. You compare that to the Facebook listing where it says 3 Points KC Laser Lipo. There's a lot of conflicting branding information here all across the internet. So Google's basically taking a look at this thinking, I don't know what your business name is. Nothing is really consistent here across the internet. In fact, the Show Me Local listing down there, lower right-hand corner, says that your business name is Natural Way Chiropractic Center. So I don't really know what to believe. So as a business, one of the best things that you can really do, and it's not like a human can really do this, but you really want to log in and create these listings if they're not created, and manage this information. So again, a person, it's not like a person can really go into these listings and do this information on their own. It's something that does require a piece of technology. And that is something that we provide our clients, especially again, when they're trying to get more exposure, when they're trying to be better optimized on a localized level. This is a really, really critical thing that any practice should really know and be aware of. And again, the reason why we need to focus here is because how we're searching is localized. We have so many individuals looking for local resources. Again, using my example, if my dry cleaners just closed down the street, I'm not driving around town looking for a new dry cleaners. I'm pulling out my phone, typing in dry cleaners near me. And again, what we understand here is that Google really does place a lot of emphasis and weight and credibility when you do have consistent NAP information, name, address, and phone number all across the internet. And that's what's really covered here. Now, the most interesting part about this is that there's not a lot of aesthetic practices who are really focusing on doing this the right way. In fact, only 1 in 10 practices, we've actually done a study on this across the board, across many different types of practices. And what we found is that only 1 in 10 practices are actually controlling that data across the internet. So for anyone who is, again, watching this webinar, I would really view that as a growth opportunity, a differentiator to really build up more localized Google trust, because the likelihood is that most of your competitors do not actively have anything managing your local directories right now. And I'll be the first one to tell you, just going back to this slide here, that some of these other like secondary directories like City Search, Merchant Circle, the ones that you've never heard of before, it's not like you're ever going to have a patient go into some of these directories and find what you do. That's not why these exist. These exist to show Google, again, that you have a local influence, a local presence, and Google again, really likes it when you have consistent information. So that's why these listings are all critical. Just wanted to make that quick point. Again, I would be happy to run a scan for anyone who is watching this webinar. Step number 3, after we've really mastered a beautiful website, we're managing those different directory listings. it's generating new inquiries, right? Because your website is becoming more visible. You have great content, great before and after photos. You're building up that localized Google trust. Now, what do we want to do once we actually acquire new patients? Well, what we want to do is, number one, we want to make them happy. We want to give them good results, but we also really want to make sure that they're leaving feedback on your Google business profile. So I call this the Amazon effect. When we are considering buying anything, when we are in a buyer's frame of mind, we're always going to look at reviews and what other people have to say about their experience at a particular business, at a particular restaurant, at a particular medical spa. So we trust reviews almost more than a personal recommendation coming from my best friend, right? I could have my best friend say to me, Robbie, you got to go to this new restaurant in town. It's awesome. It's great. Go take a look at it. Go take a look at the menu. I could trust what my friend says, but guess what? I still want to see social proof. When I say social proof, I still want to see compelling information in the form of reviews of what other people outside of my best friend have to say about their experience there. So you can bet, especially in the aesthetic marketplace, that individuals are really, again, looking at this information, evaluating what their options are. It is a luxury to go to a medical spa, right? Not everyone has the disposable income to be able to do that. So what we don't want to lose sight of is understanding that you're in a really competitive marketplace, and you can't be a one-trick pony. You can't just have like a nice website and that's it. You really need to have a continued strategy relative to Google review acquisition. So what we've actually done here at MyAdvice is that we've actually developed a texting technology that I would love to demo to anyone watching this webinar as well. I'm not going to do that here on this presentation, but I can actually show you how this tool works, where it's a text messaging tool. You plug in the patient's cell phone number into it. They receive an integrated text message that links over to your Google page to actually leave that review. It's a really great software to actually have and integrate within your practice if you don't have anything managing your Google reviews right now. So again, this is really critical. What I find most interesting about this slide, though, is that, what is your typical response after you read a positive review? What happens is that 12% of individuals still search for alternatives. So again, that's why when I talk about really cultivating an online presence, having a great website, a great Google review strategy, local listings created, you can't just do one of them. You have to really do everything, understanding that aesthetics is competitive, really, no matter where you're at. So again, even if you have great Google reviews, people are still searching for alternatives. So that's why you have to really grab the person's attention with a great website and everything else as well. Step number 4 here, after we've built out a good website, managing those directory listings, generating new Google reviews, all of those are really new patient acquisition strategies. We next want to really focus on social media. And I'll be the first one to tell you that social media, at least how we really present social media is a lot more of a patient retainment tool, less of an acquisition tool. And I have conversations daily with practice owners, and they come to me saying, hey, I don't really know where to put my investment dollars, when it comes down to marketing. Do I need to, run ads on Facebook? Do I need to run ads on Instagram? The answer to those questions is most of the time no, because they probably have other blind spots within their digital strategy where running ads on Facebook or running ads on Instagram would not make any sense. But, the key to really managing social media is that you need to do it consistently. And that's really where most practice owners really struggle, because consistency requires time. And when we think about running a business, gosh, everyone here is probably really overwhelmed. You're running a business, you might be managing, family life as well. There's a lot of things that's going on. Social media tends to be one of the things that really just kind of gets put on the back burner. So, we've actually developed a software in a tool that our practices use, where we're actually posting for them 4 times a week on Facebook and 3 times a week on Instagram to really help them out with that consistency. Now, again, I'll be the first one to kind of say that, our product, when it comes down to social media, if you're comparing it from like a good, better, best scale, our product is probably the good or the better. It's not the best. The best type of social media, the best type of stuff that you can really be posting on social media outlets is always coming directly from you. And that is the stuff that's always going to drive more engagement. It's always going to drive more likes, more comments, more shares, all that type of stuff. Why is that? It's because that content is more personal. It's more unique. It's more original. And we always got to keep in mind that the reason why someone is going to Facebook, the reason why someone is going to Instagram is because they're trying to connect with you on a human level. They're not going there to be sold one of your services or products or skincare lines, anything like that. They're going there to really connect with people, companies, and businesses that they like. And this next slide here that I'm going to show you really exemplifies that entire notion that people do connect with people. So everyone knows the company Progressive, right? Progressive, the insurance company. We see their commercials all the time. Who is the main spokesperson of Progressive? And that's a rhetorical question. I know that everyone is hopefully saying Flo in their head. Flo is really the spokesperson. She is the brand behind Progressive. So this screenshot was taken a couple of years ago, but again, the point really drives home here. This is a screenshot directly from Progressive's Facebook page where they had 343,000 likes on their page. You compare that to Flo's page here, over 5 million people like her page. So what does that tell you? That tells you that people connect with individuals. People connect with you as the injector. That is what this tells you. So you might have like your own, company name for your med spa, Blossom Beauty Med Spa as an example. But the reason why someone is coming to Blossom Beauty Med Spa is because they are coming to you. They want to connect with you. They trust you. You are really the brand. So we never want to really lose sight of that. Now, am I saying that you need to post content about yourself all the time on social media? Absolutely not. But if you want to sprinkle in, just some things that you're doing, really involving yourself in the community, again, maybe going to a new restaurant in town, maybe you're celebrating a staff member's birthday, maybe you're celebrating just the day, maybe you're celebrating the autumn experience that we're all in right now. Anything like that drives more connection with people is always going to do a great job of driving engagement. Again, really where most medical spas that we work with, really where they miss the mark is that they might post something like that and really get all jazzed up about posting on their own, but they might do that once or twice a month. So that's really where MyAdvice, the solution that we have is that we have a solution where we can basically help you by creating new content based upon the services that you provide, more or less just kind of filling in the gaps within your social media profiles, because we would be posting for you 4 times a week on Facebook and 3 times a week on Instagram. So anyways, I hope that this slide really lands well with everyone. Moving on here to step number 5. Again, we talked a little bit about search engine optimization. Just so everyone knows, anything that we talked about today, whether it's website creation, whether it's management of those directories, generating Google reviews, active social media, anything is search engine optimization that we covered today. But if you're looking to really crank things up even a little bit further relative to search engine optimization, it's important to know exactly how that is defined. So search engine optimization, I used the examples before, medical spa near me, optimizing for those types of search terms within Google search. Really what search engine optimization is a little bit more is really targeting a little bit more of like a content strategy for your website. So in other words, like if someone is going to Google and, that person is located relatively close to where your office is, and maybe that person is going to Google and typing in something that's really specific, something that they want to learn a little bit more about, like, hey, Google, what is the difference between Botox and Dysport, as an example? That would be a search engine optimization trigger. So in other words, like if your website has content that explains a lot about the differences between Botox and Dysport, that is really more or less what search engine optimization is. It's really targeting what we call those longer tail keyword association types of searches to drive more visibility for that person who is a little bit further along within their journey of choosing a medical spa provider. So again, you hear search engine optimization a lot all the time. It's a buzz term. Just kind of know that if you are having conversations with marketing companies, really anything that comprises your digital strategy, if it's done the right way, is really going to help out your search engine optimization. And again, a big part of that is management of those directory listings, management of reviews, having a great website with great content on it. All of those things are really driven for search engine optimization. Finally, step number 6 here is paid search. So oftentimes, we will work with practices who really want to get aggressive, targeting something that is, really one of their more higher revenue yielding procedures. Maybe they just purchased a device, such as the M-Sculpt, M-Tone, and they're really wanting to draw more visibility for something really specific. that is really where a paid search campaign can really be effective. But again, I'm just going to hone in on the reason why this is at step number 6. The reason why this is at step number 6, and again, I'm not saying that any practice needs to invest within paid ads, but if you do decide to invest within paid ads, the reason why this is at step number 6 is because if you're running a paid ad campaign, that paid ad campaign is not going to be nearly as effective unless you have all of these steps completed underneath it. That's kind of the whole point of this pyramid, is that you really need to build up to something like this. So in other words, if you launch a paid ad campaign, but you have bad Google reviews, or if you have like an outdated website, running that ad campaign could just be as equal as flushing money down the toilet, because you don't have those more foundational components built within your online strategy. But if you do, then paid search can really be very effective, because you're targeting the right type of person. You're targeting someone who is, really interested in whatever they're searching for. And then you're leading that person over to a great website with great Google reviews, great before and afters, all that type of stuff. So paid search, I usually recommend to a practice who, number one, has more disposable income that they would want to invest within this type of strategy, because it does become a little bit more expensive compared to everything else. But at the same time, it can really, again, help accelerate your growth further if you have all of these other pieces really put into place first. And generally speaking, businesses who invest within paid ads, and this is coming directly from Google, they typically earn $2 for every $1 spent on Google ads. Our numbers are actually a little bit higher than that. On average, our clients are actually seeing around a 3 to 4 return, 3 to 1 return, or 4 to 1 return, based upon what you're actually investing within paid ads. So anyways, that completes, kind of your understanding of what goes into really building an online presence here the right way. We cover the entire pyramid of success here. As a special promotion here, through anyone who registered or attended for this webinar, we are running some promotional pricing here through the month of November, where if you were interested again in having a conversation with me, please take out your phone, scan that QR code. I would love to go through a little bit more of like a one-on-one personal consultation with you, where I can take a look at your website. I can take a look at getting in the weeds of your Google reviews, your local listings, and everything else, and really make some highly personalized recommendations to you. What I want everyone to walk away with here is, if you end up working with MyAdvice, we take a really personalized approach. So in other words, like everything that I covered here today might not be for you, but maybe you have some gaps, maybe you have some blind spots within your online presence that could really be addressed. And that's kind of how we approach this relationship. So in other words, even if you're really happy with your website, but your Google reviews are lackluster, and maybe you need a tool and a product that really helps generating Google reviews, again, we can still work with you and kind of fill in the gaps on your digital strategy here. So anyways, that covers my part of the presentation here. I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to pass the ball over to Nick, and he is going to resume the rest of this webinar here for today. So Nick, why don't you take it away?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Robbie. Great information here. Just bear with me 1 second as I share the screen. All right. Okay. I think we're good to go. Again, thank you, Robbie and Rachel, for having myself and Liguori Accounting on the webinar today. Excited to talk to everyone. And, like Robbie spoke about, this is about budgets and building your business. So I'm going to focus on kind of the bookkeeping, what we do, and how that can relate to your marketing advertising plan together. And those things are very interconnected, because obviously the goal of what Robbie and his team do is building your business and driving sales. So from our side, we're going to help you make sure you know where that money's going and what you're doing with it. So that's who we are, and I'm going to jump right in. So a little bit about myself to start. I'm the owner and founder of Liguori Accounting. We're based out of Exeter, New Hampshire. I'm a licensed CPA in New Hampshire. I live here in the state with my wife and 4 kids. And Liguori Accounting, we provide outsourced bookkeeping services to small businesses, and that includes bookkeeping at a basic level, fractional CFO services, and also tax preparation services. So what that means is we help you organize your finances, help you understand your numbers, and help you use that knowledge to reach your business goals for your Medspa. And so with this presentation, there's actually not a lot of numbers in here. unlike what you may expect from an accountant. But we're going to take the approach of talking about the analogy of owning a business as a road trip or a journey. And so we're going to start with some questions. So what's my destination? I think is the first big question you need to ask is what are your big picture goals? Where do you hope your business is in 5 years, 10 years, at some point in the future? Why did you start the business? Where are we going? And then with that in mind, with the end in mind, where do we start? We need a roadmap, we need a budget, we need a financial plan to get there. Third is my vehicle organized and set up properly? So you think of your vehicle as the internal systems and the compliance of your business. Do you have the systems and processes in place to grow your business, to track your financial results, and stay compliant? Because that's an important piece to the puzzle. And then how do I track my progress? As you're going, and once you've started your business or put a plan in place or set a vision for your business, how do you track where you are along that journey? Are you stopping and making those checkpoints? Are you comparing to your roadmap? Are you in line with that, or are you off course? So answering those questions is important as you go periodically. And then lastly is, when do I ask for direction? So at one point, do we need professional guidance? Do we need to check in with someone who has been there before or has worked with others along the way for this journey? So those are the steps we're going to follow and the path we're going to follow on this webinar. And we'll jump into the first one is, what is my destination? So ultimately, there's a reason everyone has started their business, whether it's for financial goals, more control of your time or how you work, or greater professional opportunities. And it's important to keep that big picture goal in your mind as you set out on this journey. And whether that's you're just starting your practice now, or you have many years of experience and you're trying to reach that next stage of your business's life cycle, or meeting those goals. So, take a minute to think about like what some of those big goals are for you, and even maybe jot them down just so they're on front of your mind. So for example, is it a revenue goal? Is it, hitting 1 million revenue this year? Is it 5 million in revenue? Is it something different than that? Is it growing your practice to multiple locations? Is it ultimately selling your med spa and setting yourself up for a profitable sale and retirement? Or is it just increasing your personal income and personal net worth and growing your personal finances to a better place? So regardless of what the goal is, it's important that we know what that is and define it, because if you don't know what that goal is, anything you're doing toward, day to day in your business isn't directed. It's not working towards that. So that's the big question, is what is that goal, and defining that goal. And so that's one of the first questions we ask our clients is, what is that goal? And then the next step is, how do we put the roadmap to get there? So, when you start a trip, you need a map to know where you're going, of course. Whether you, and most of the time it's the case that you haven't been somewhere before if you're going on a road trip. And, oftentimes business owners, they haven't ever started a business before. A lot of med spa owners are not financial experts or, entrepreneurs per se. They're usually a, practitioner of some sort, a doctor or nurse. So, we need that map to know where to go. In financial terms, that map is a budget. So when you're talking about big picture goals, you need to work backwards from those to create these short-term goals. So if you have a big 5 or 10 year goal, we need to start there and work our way back to where we are today to set the goals for this coming year. So with our clients, we always do a 1-year budget at a minimum and say, okay, based on our big goals and where we are now, this is the first step in that process. And from there, where do you start? Where do you create a budget? We start either at the bottom line, what is our profit goal for the year? And then we figure out what should our sales be to hit that goal. So at a minimum, we recommend that you're targeting at least a 10% profit with your business. Ideally, for those that are practices that are more established, 20% plus is an ideal place to be coming in from a profitability standpoint. And from there, we can determine our sales goal based on that profit. And you know, sales is a tough thing to figure out, obviously. There's a lot of variables involved, and depending on where you are today and where you want to be, there's a lot of different things you can do to take, or different measures you can take to get there. So one of the things is reaching out to Robbie and the MyAdvice team and putting a plan together to increase your marketing efforts or strengthen your marketing and advertising efforts to get more patients in the door, more opportunities to sell your services and increase revenue. Does that mean it has to be all at once? No, I mean, this is a process, and it's important to bring in professionals to help you with that guidance, or lean on resources who can help guide you in that right direction. So our sales goal is is our next step. So determining that, and from there, the other pieces can fall into place. So based on what we're expecting for revenue, we can determine cost of product and materials, or what that should be. We can determine cost of employees and providers, what those big costs are going to be. And then from there, create a marketing budget. What's going to make sense for you to spend in order to hit those goals, to bring in, how much new business do you need to bring in, or existing patients, how can you reach out to them more, or cultivate, expanding that relationship and the services that you're providing them. And then also just the overhead and operating costs. Where does that fall in based on your location, the cost to run the office, and all those peripheral additional expenses. So the roadmap is that first step, knowing where we're going to go. It's important to have that map in place to make sure you're following the right path as we go forward. Next is making sure your vehicle is organized and set up properly. So do we have the right systems and structure in place to accomplish these goals, to measure these checkpoints along the way, and to make sure we're hitting our metrics? So we're going to talk about a few things. Mainly, obviously, from our end, bookkeeping is a huge component to running a business. Making sure you're tracking money coming in, money going out, where are those records kept. So we use QuickBooks Online with all our clients, and that's our main hub for accounting. But one thing we like to do with our med spas and any businesses that we work with is make sure all your systems are speaking to each other as best they can. So we have a full picture of the information that's available in order to make sure you're on the right track. So whether it's your bookkeeping software, your payroll software, your point of sale, EMR software, making sure those are all speaking to each other. We have all that information to make sure you're on the right track. And bookkeeping is extremely important because it's part of compliance. We need to have documentation and record keeping for your business activity. We need to be tracking income and expenses. We need to reconcile your bank accounts. We need to make sure you're organized for one, when you get to tax time, but also as we're going through this journey, making sure we're on the right path, we're hitting those metrics, hitting those checkpoints. Also, having accurate financial information gives you confidence as you make decisions for your business, whether it's determining how much you pay yourself, how much can you pay employees, can you hire more employees, can I afford new equipment, can I afford a bigger or new location? Having those numbers and that financial information available to you and current and accurate gives you the confidence to make those calls and say, okay, it's time to expand. It's time to, or maybe it's not time to expand. Maybe it's time to, regroup and reconfigure to move forward in the future. I think it also helps answer questions about the health of your business. Am I profitable? Am I as profitable as I could be? And how can I continue to effectively grow my business? And then compliance, just to talk about that briefly, is my business set up optimally or appropriately? Am I set up as an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp? And, depending on your state, certain setups may be more beneficial than others. Certain states with strong corporate practice of medicine laws you may need to have an MSO, MSA structure in place to be compliant, and make sure, you're doing everything properly. So yeah, so structure is huge. I mean, for what we do from a financial standpoint, like these pieces to the puzzle are all key, making sure they're up to date so we have the right information to use to go forward. And then, bookkeeping is in place, all those key components are set up. How do we know we're on the right track, or how do we track our progress as we're going? So checkpoints are important. Time to assess the progress towards your goals. We recommend our clients, do that at least on a quarterly basis, where we check in and say, all right, here are our goals, here's our budget, here's the actual results for this quarter or month or year, whatever it may be. How did we line up with what we were shooting for? Are we hitting our targets? And where are we off? Where are we ahead? Where are we behind? And what do we do from there? It's super important I keep saying this, but the bookkeeping really is that important piece. Like without those accurate numbers, we can't make that determination well, which is why bookkeeping is our foundational service that we provide and offer to our clients, is making sure you're starting at the right place and you have accuracy to do this analysis. So at a checkpoint, what we do is we compare your actual results to your budget and that roadmap that we've created. And then we talk about where can we make adjustments. And, for the purposes of this conversation, I think sales is a huge focus. Is, okay, we're not hitting our sales goals or our sales growth goals. What strings can we pull to improve that? And a lot of the times that's going to be where are we missing out on our marketing efforts, our advertising, SEO? Where should we be spending on ads? Do we need to, tweak what we're doing in order to, boost those numbers and create more opportunities to build the business? Additionally, are we spending too much? Are we, are our cost of goods sold not in line with where they should be? Are we, out of line there? Or other expenses, are they not in line with the industry, or other metrics that we've set for our business? Let's see. So when to ask for directions. Anytime you're on a road trip, especially if it's a long journey, you may get off course. You may need to reroute. So the question is, when is it time to ask for help? When is it time to pull over and consult your map or your phone or phone a friend or whatever it may be? And I think, as you get down the line, as I mentioned earlier, we all have our certain areas of expertise, and as much as we can leverage those, the better. And leveraging other people or other professionals to use their expertise is beneficial for a business as well. So, I mean, as a practitioner and a business owner, your time is much more valuably spent seeing patients, working on your business, working in your business, and we can help provide that guidance as far as from a financial standpoint. So what things that we can help with, or we help our clients with, is maybe it's time to buy a new piece of equipment. Can I afford that? Do I have the cash flow to support that? That's areas where we can help. We can analyze your numbers and say yes, no, maybe it is, maybe it depends on what the ROI is going to look like. And what changes have happened along the way, through the process of, we set our budget back in January, we're in November now, probably a lot has changed in your business. We need to readjust and reassess where things are at. How are these changes impacting the end goal or where we're headed towards that goal? So, it's often hard to ask for guidance and direction sometimes, but oftentimes that investment is important to continue growth and make sure you're tracking on your goals. So yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, like utilizing the resources that are around you. There's only so many hours in the day, and part of the benefit of Liguori Accounting team is that we work with medical med spas and medical aesthetic practices, and we are familiar with the industry. So we know where this road is leading for a lot of practices, and the different roadblocks or hurdles along the way that you need to cross and assess. So we're a team that you can turn to for help if it's beneficial. If you don't have a team supporting you in that area, when you need to ask for directions on this journey, or if it's further back, like just getting yourself organized and your financial house in order, we can help along that path as well to get you to a place where you can start looking forward and planning for the future and planning for those goals. So ultimately, our ultimate goal is to work with med spas to help you achieve your goals and get you to that destination, that big picture goal that you're looking to achieve, and where you want to go. So yeah, I think that's it from a big picture standpoint. For us, anyone on the webinar who is interested in a consultation, we're offering a free consult to anyone who's attended. You can scan the link on the left to book a call with our team. We'd be happy to review your financials with you, provide some guidance or feedback, or help you to determine whether you are on the right path or not for your goals. There's also a link to our website on the right there if you want to check us out a little bit further, and learn a little bit more about Liguori Accounting. And that's about it for me. I think this is kind of a high level overview of the benefits of working with us and what we can do. I think we're unique in the fact that we take a holistic approach to looking at your business finances rather than just a piece of the puzzle, where we're looking at the bookkeeping, the fractional CFO, the budgeting, the planning piece, and also the tax compliance component. So we aim to be a member of your team and an asset for your team to utilize throughout the journey of being a business owner. So thank you, Rachel and Robbie, for having me today, and we appreciate the opportunity to chat with everyone.
Thank you so much, Robbie and Nick. That was super insightful and hopefully gave all of our attendees knowledge about not only growing your practice, but how to handle all the growth on the back end as well. Thank you all for contributing questions. Please continue to send them on in. I'm monitoring the Q&A. Let's get going with just a couple of them. Robbie, we have one for you. How can I go about getting more reviews for my practice? I ask patients to write reviews, but they never do it.
So this is kind of there's a couple answers to this. So number one, our perspective when you're trying to generate reviews is we don't think that the sterile text message like a day after someone comes in really works out all that well. And a lot of EMR systems will offer you that. Our philosophy when you're trying to generate Google reviews, we do feel like it should be a personalized type of exchange. It's not something that should eat up a lot of your time. Like we know that and we understand that, but really, if we're getting back to the crux of asking someone to give you a review, you're really asking them to do something that is really going out of their way to benefit you. So you really want to make sure that it's more personalized. So generally speaking, when our clients are generating their own Google reviews, we have a software that we train our med spas on how to use it. Basically, the idea is that someone's coming in, they're interacting with the front desk before they leave, and the front desk person could be asking them like, hey, how was your experience today? Or if you run a solo injector type of practice, like this is you actually asking them this question. And just by asking that question, you're kind of like screening them, understanding, should this person actually receive a text message from me? So if that person who you just asked the question to, hey, did you have a good experience? Are you happy with your results? If they come back to you and say, yes, that's your green light. That's your green light to basically say, look, oh, that's great. I'm happy that you're happy with your results. Hey, if it's okay with you, I would love to send over a text message to you. And if you don't mind leaving me some feedback about your experience today, that would be really appreciated. So notice how I said that. I said the word feedback. What I'm not saying is, hey, I'm going to send over a text message. Please leave us a 5-star Google review with 2 thumbs up. You don't want to be salesy about this. You don't want to come across as self-serving, but if you're genuinely like, look, oh, that's great. I'm happy that you had a good experience. I'm happy that you're happy with the results. if it's okay with you, let me send over a quick text message. And if you don't mind leaving us some feedback, that would be great. So again, we've developed a technology. It's a text messaging tool that you can have on your cell phone. You could have it on your computer. You just plug in the person's cell phone number into it, and it sends them a text message that is integrated with your Google Business profile. That makes it easy and literally 2 steps to leave that Google review. So anyways, yeah, if you have a software out there that is, attempting to do that automatically, and you're not seeing the results that you like, the likely missing component of this is really just making that experience a little bit more personalized, a little bit more humanizing.
Perfect. Thanks, Robbie. Nick, this is for you. I do not work with a professional yet. What can I do today to start leveraging my numbers?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is make sure you have your numbers all connected and syncing to one source, and that they're up to date. I think oftentimes, especially busy business owners, fall behind on keeping up with their books, and then they're never dealing with live information. They're either running their business out of their bank account balance, and they don't know what the big picture looks like, or they're just behind, and they don't really have a good picture of what the numbers actually look like in reality. So I think step one is making sure you're using a software or a system to accurately present you a P&L report, so you can actually have some numbers to work off of and start with. And then from there, it's okay, what are these numbers telling me? Are my sales, start doing some comparisons. How are my sales compared to last year? How are my expenses compared to last year? Obviously, there's some seasonality in this industry where you have some ups and downs throughout the year. So comparing, year to year for certain quarters may be a beneficial way to say, all right, am I really growing? Am I seeing the results I want? And then from there, it's really, if you have that live information and real-time information, it allows you to make some analytics and make some decisions based on that. And not all of us obviously have that expertise or skill set to make those decisions or interpret those numbers, and that's where we can help. If you're at the point with your business where it makes sense to outsource that, we can be a resource.
Okay, Robbie, why isn't PPC the first thing that you do to market your practice? I've been told that's the first thing you do to market yourself on Google.
Yeah, so we kind of touched on this in my part of the presentation. In order to be really effective within running a paid ad campaign, specifically on Google, we need to keep in mind the behaviors and the steps that individuals go through even after they click into an ad. So in other words, like if you're searching for something up at the very top of a Google search, you see those advertisements and someone's clicking into one of those ads, they're usually being brought over to your website or your landing page. And for whatever they're searching for, hopefully they're being brought to a page that has a lot of good information on it, maybe some good before and afters, maybe even a video. But after someone clicks into that ad, the second behavior that person usually does after they're impressed with that ad is that they want to do a Google search for your business because they want to see what other people have to say about their experience with you. So again, you could have this beautiful ad, you could have this beautiful website, but if your Google reviews suck and you have a 2.3 star rating with only 5 Google reviews, then you're going to turn that person away. So that's why when we are consulting with medical spas and business owners, we really approach this very similar to building a house. If you're trying to build a house, you need a solid foundation. If I was 400 pounds overweight and a smoker and a drinker and I stayed out all night, I'm probably not a good candidate to come in for, Botox or Kybella or other facial rejuvenation techniques because I don't have a proper foundation. So marketing is the same exact way. You need a proper foundation before you do anything more aggressive, more investment driven.
So true. For Nick, why do I need a bookkeeper who's familiar with the industry?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a lot of benefits there. Is just that familiarity with, those key metrics, key measurable results are, is my profitability, are those certain metrics in line with what we're expecting or what we're seeing across the other businesses that we work with in this industry, for one, is a huge benefit. We know how these organizations run. we know kind of the important factors that we're watching. So whether it's profit margins, profitability, cost of employees, those are the big things that we can keep an eye on and make sure you're in line with those. And we work with a number of med spas of different sizes. So we've seen med spas at all different stages of that life cycle. So whether they're very established and trying to grow from there, or they're just getting their feet off the ground and starting from square one, we've experienced that with clients and seen that growth and have that experience in the industry. Also, just the familiarity with, on the bookkeeping side, we know what transactions are coming through. We know what common providers or vendors that are in the industry. So we just have that background and knowledge where it's, you're not teaching some other bookkeeper who isn't specializing, the ins and outs of the industry. We have that background and experience already.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, I think we have time for one or two more. Robbie, can practice owners manage their local citations on their own?
The short answer to that is no. You're going to run into a lot of headaches doing that. It is not worth your time. Management of those directory listings is something that is one of the more less investment driven types of strategies, I would say, that really does pack a punch. So in other words, management of those directory listings is not worth your time as a business owner. There's around 65 of those different listings which exist. It's kind of a tangled web, especially if you've moved office locations and there's some of that old information that's still floating out there across the internet. That information is out there permanently, and it needs to then be blocked out from having the ability of getting back into those directories. So again, short answer, no. Long answer, no.
All right, guys, I think those are, oh, wait, one more. Okay, Nick, last one. Do you look at the margins of certain services or performance of providers?
Yeah, definitely. Again, that's part of the purpose of being able to link and access all your various systems that we talked about. So not just your bookkeeping records, but your internal medical patient metrics, provider metrics. So we can pull all that data together and create some useful information to run your practice or grow your practice. So if you don't know which services are the most profitable or generating the most revenue, how do you know where to focus? How do you know where to spend your ad dollars, or focus on what services you're trying to promote with patients, increasing their services that they're getting? So those are definitely important factors that we can assist in measuring and looking at. And then same thing with providers, some providers are great about selling additional services and rebooking, and some aren't, and they're just kind of taking what's getting pushed to them. So it's seeing those numbers and seeing who's performing and who isn't is huge, where it's you are constrained by the space you have and the number of hours in the day. So you need to be maximizing that and taking advantage of it as best you can.
Thank you guys both so much. I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone for attending. We had a lot of great questions, and if you have additional ones, please reach out to Robbie and Nick. I'll be sending out a copy of this recording, as well as the one teachers that you saw at the end with the QR code. So if you want to meet up with either Robbie or Nick or both of them, and then if you lose those for whatever reason, just reach out to me and I can get you in touch with the right person. So thank you all again so much, and have an awesome rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel.